Wait, is that my mother-in-law over there? It happened when I arrived at the hotel during a business trip. Behind the building, I spotted a disheveled woman rummaging through garbage. When she turned to look at me, our eyes met. Upon closer inspection, I realized it was my mother-in-law. What on earth is going on? Startled, the woman ran away. I hurriedly called my husband, but his response left me even more confused.
My mother is here with me now.
However, from this point on, shocking revelations unfolded. My name is Valentina. I married my same-age husband, William, 3 years ago when I was 30. We decided to postpone having children a little longer, wanting to enjoy some private time as a couple and due to our busy work schedules. While others often asked, "When will you have kids?" my mother-in-law was the only one who understood our perspective and supported us. I thought those peaceful and happy days would continue indefinitely. However, 6 months ago, William suddenly quit his job without any consultation. What on earth is going on? I asked. William replied,
Well, I've been thinking about starting my own business. Age-wise, now seems like the perfect time.
But, are you okay without any preparation?
Don't worry about it, Valentina.
William assured me without providing any further details. His impulsive decision left me genuinely bewildered. We had just built a house, which added to my anxiety. If you're starting a company, you'll need money, won't you? Have you thought about that?
I think we'll get things up and running quickly, and I won't inconvenience you, Valentina.
William replied. Although I had many questions and concerns, I decided to observe William's determination without dampening his spirits. Yet deep down, I couldn't fully support him. The next day, when I had some errands, I called my mother-in-law. He suddenly quit his job, and now he wants to start his own business. He made all these decisions without consulting me, and I found out afterward. I explained.
Well, maybe William didn't want to worry you, Valentina.
My mother-in-law replied. I hope so. But still. I hesitated.
Trust him. Take care,
she said before hanging up. Perhaps my tone wasn't ideal. My usually empathetic mother-in-law seemed distant on the phone. I realized that even though she's a kind person, I need to be careful about the topics I bring up. After that, William prepared to start his own business and converted one room in our home into the company's office.
I'll be out late tonight for a business dinner.
I understood.
Networking is crucial, so I'll be attending more events like this.
True to his declaration, William began going out more frequently. Our schedules rarely aligned. I'd return home while he was leaving, and he'd come back after midnight. On weekends, he'd be away for client dinners, golf outings, or fishing trips, sometimes even staying overnight. However, he remained tight-lipped about the specifics of his work situation. What does it mean to be a married couple? As time passed, our conversations dwindled, and I felt an inexplicable loneliness. Gradually, his independence started affecting our household finances.
Valentina, can you cover this month's living expenses and the mortgage? I apologize.
Is the business still not doing well?
It's not that, but payments from clients take time, even after completing work.
At this point, William had been running his business for only 2 months. Well, it's still early days. I reassured myself. As a full-time employee, I contributed to our household expenses, but William hadn't contributed anything. "Hey, can you start contributing to our living expenses? We can't save like this." Determined to address the situation, I decided to talk to William.
I'm tired, and I don't want to discuss money right now. Let's talk later.
He dismissed my concerns. "But we need to have a proper conversation about this," I insisted.
Enough! You're always nitpicking. As my wife, you should silently support me.
Suddenly, William raised his voice, his anger evident, and he even tried to strike me. Without an apology, he retreated to his home office. "This is bad. We can't communicate." That incident shattered something inside me. With little connection between us, I began contemplating divorce. And then, as my own feelings solidified and I prepared for the future, I found myself on a business trip that required an overnight stay. Since it was in the state where William's parents lived, I decided to contact my mother-in-law directly to discuss my decision to divorce. I sent her an email, but unfortunately, there was no response. As the day of the business trip arrived, I landed at my destination and headed to the hotel to drop off my luggage. While passing behind the hotel, I noticed a disheveled woman rummaging through garbage. Perhaps sensing my presence, she turned around, and our eyes met. Initially, I felt like I shouldn't stare, but in that moment, my heart raced. "Wait, is that my mother-in-law?" The woman bore a striking resemblance to her, and considering that William's parents' home wasn't far from here, I briefly wondered if it could be her. However, I dismissed the idea. It couldn't possibly be true. Still, I attempted to approach and speak to her, but she fled before I could reach her. With work deadlines looming, I couldn't chase after her. To confirm, I tried calling my mother-in-law, but she remained unreachable. Frustrated, I decided to contact William. His response surprised me.
Wait, she's with me right now.
"But maybe I just misjudged," I replied. William dismissed the matter, saying she was tired and lying down. He abruptly ended the call while I was still trying to explain. Yet, if my mother-in-law was indeed with him, then my initial sighting must have been a mistake. But the thought lingered, leaving me unsettled. Driven by curiosity, the next day, just before checking out, I decided to explore the hotel's surroundings once more. I revisited the garbage area and nearby alleys where I'd seen the woman before, but she was nowhere to be found. Let's check that spot one last time. If she's not there, I'll stop worrying about my mistake. With determination, I ventured a bit farther from the hotel to a nearby park. As I scanned the area, I noticed something between the trees, a cardboard-like object moving. Approaching, I saw a head and legs peeking out from the top and bottom of the box. "You." I couldn't help but call out. I saw a scarf wrapped around the woman's neck. I had given it to my mother-in-law as a Mother's Day gift shortly after getting married, and she always wore it when going out. Startled, the woman suddenly jumped up and fled without looking back. "Wait!" I called after her, but she disappeared. Could this woman truly be my mother-in-law? If so, what did William's previous statement mean? The confusion overwhelmed me. Back home, I resolved to ask William again. After returning home from my business trip, I found William in the middle of washing dishes.
Welcome back. My mother just left a moment ago. She wanted to see Valentina too.
He held 2 sets of dishes, indicating that someone had been there. Despite my lingering doubts about William, I decided to call my mother-in-law once more. However, the phone rang without connecting at all. Driven by curiosity, I visited my in-laws' house on my day off. What I saw there left me speechless. A vacant lot where the building used to stand. "What's going on? I haven't heard anything," I wondered aloud. Despite the confusion, I remained convinced that the disheveled woman I saw during the business trip was indeed my mother-in-law. Suspicious of William's silence, I resolved to uncover the truth. First, I desperately wanted to talk to my mother-in-law, so I set out to find her again. I continued to interact with William as usual, secretly investigating. This time, I went to a place that might hold crucial answers and tried to listen to what was said. As I learned more, hidden truths began to emerge. "I won't forgive this." Fueled by anger toward William, I decided to take matters into my own hands. 2 weeks later, William had been away for about 3 days on a business golf outing with distant clients. On the day he was due to return home, I had prepared everything and quietly waited for his arrival. It was 7 p.m. when I heard the sound of the front door unlocking, and there he was, William, entering the living room without even saying "I'm home." He tossed a large Boston bag onto the sofa.
I'm exhausted. Make me some coffee,"
he demanded. "Welcome back. I have something to discuss," I said, undeterred by his tired demeanor.
"Can't it wait? I'm already wiped out."
William replied, furrowing his brow. But I pressed on. "I still believe the woman I saw during my business trip was your mother."
"Are you still going on about that? It was just a passing resemblance. My mother was with me,"
he retorted, exasperated. Ignoring his sigh, I continued. "But when I visited your parents' home, it was gone, reduced to an empty lot."
"What? You went to my parents' place? Why would you do that without telling me?"
William's eyes widened, and he seemed ready to confront me. "Why were you so frantic today when I visited your mother before without any fuss?" I asked.
"It's not like that. I'm not worked up,"
he stammered. "But you never mentioned demolishing the parents' house. What happened?" I insisted, locking eyes with him. William stumbled, offering a flimsy excuse.
"I've never heard of that. I haven't spoken to my mother in a while."
"Really? Wasn't I there on the day of my business trip?"
"Well,"
his lie was transparent, and cracks began to show. He shifted uncomfortably and then lowered his gaze. Even when I pressed him, William remained tight-lipped. "Fine, I'll ask your mother directly," I declared.
"What?"
William's voice cracked as I opened the door next to the living room.
"Mom?"
he exclaimed, shocked to see his mother in the adjacent room. In truth, every time I had a day off, I visited hotels near my business trip destinations, hoping to find my mother-in-law. I had seen her wrapped in cardboard, sleeping in a park, and later sitting on a bench. Despite her initial attempts to flee, I managed to persuade her to talk. After hearing her side of the story, I promptly arranged a nearby hotel for her stay, part of my plan for retribution against William. "Why did your house disappear and become an empty lot?"
Well, I needed money. Selling the house was the only option.
She began speaking in a soft voice. "What did you need the money for?"
It's
She glanced briefly at William, hesitating to continue.
There are things even a mother can't share. Stop prying!
Perhaps seizing the opportunity while observing his mother's demeanor, William defended her. "If your mother won't say, then I'll tell you," I said, nodding toward my mother-in-law, then taking a deep breath before addressing William. "Because of the debt you asked her to take on, your mother had to sell the house, right?"
What? That's absurd. There's no way.
He vehemently denied it, but I ignored his protest. "Is what I just said accurate?" When I asked, my mother-in-law nodded slowly but firmly.
Come on, you two have no evidence. Are you trying to frame me?
He slammed the table, shouting at both of us. "I have evidence. I visited the company you left and heard the story," I said. At that moment, William fell silent, his previous intensity dissipating. In reality, I had been investigating William by visiting the company where he worked before starting his own business. There, I learned shocking facts. "You didn't quit the company. You were fired, right?" William remained tight-lipped, turning away. "You had an affair with a woman from accounting, and you both misuse company funds, leading to your dismissal, correct?" Furthermore, the money they used was discovered later, and William agreed to repay it all at once to avoid involving the police and keeping it secret from the family. The company also wanted to avoid the complications of a police investigation, so they accepted the condition of repayment in exchange for dismissal. And that lump sum repayment? It was the money my mother-in-law had prepared at William's request. "You introduced her to a consumer finance company, right?"
Why do you know all this?
My mother-in-law believed that since she would repay the debt herself, it was fine to lend her name. William had asked her to keep it a secret from me, too. But he never showed any intention of repaying, and the collection notices kept coming, of course, to the address where my mother-in-law had signed. Desperate, she sold the house to repay the consumer finance company. Deceiving your own mother to incur debt is despicable. And even after hearing that she had to sell the house, it seems you didn't care," I exclaimed. William nonchalantly replied,
It's fine. The debt was settled, so there's no problem.
"That's not okay. Your actions led to your mother losing her home, and now she's living in a rundown state in the park," I retorted.
Being a parent means helping their children when they're in need. Besides, it was my mother's decision. I never told her to sell the house.
William defended himself. His lack of remorse was infuriating. My mother-in-law looked heartbroken, and my own emotions were in turmoil. "To make your own parents miserable. I won't forgive you." I locked eyes with William, who was sprawled on the sofa. "By the way, you haven't paid any living expenses or the mortgage. Can you show me evidence of your company's financial transactions?" William snapped.
No way. There's no need for that.
Ignoring his refusal, I handed him a copy of the company's financial records from his computer. "I looked at your computer to investigate you," William stammered.
You! How dare you invade someone's privacy like that?
"Your income has been almost zero, but was your company merely a facade?" I pressed. Caught off guard, he fell silent. But this wasn't the end. "And on top of that, you're cheating without even working," I accused. William exploded.
You have no proof. How dare you say that?
I opened my laptop, revealing a video. I have evidence. As he watched the footage, William's face turned pale. The video showed him with another woman in his home office, clearly engaged in an affair. I had discreetly installed cameras to monitor his actions. Still involved with that woman, huh? Knowing she worked in accounting, I had shown the footage to William's former boss, who confirmed her identity. The 2 sets of dishes at home during my business trip likely belonged to his mistress. Supporting you financially while you cheat without working. Your entitlement knows no bounds, I said. William retorted.
What's wrong with that? You earn more, so it's only natural for you to provide.
His audacity shocked me. But using our savings for your affairs? What's your plan? I confronted him with our bank account statements. You've depleted our joint account. This man's behavior was beyond redemption. His excuses were tiresome. Curious about the source of his affair funds, I checked our bank accounts, confirming my suspicions. So, for that reason, please proceed with the divorce. Pay back the depleted savings and the compensation for the affair all at once, I stated firmly. William protested.
That's impossible. Stop saying absurd things.
That's just your convenience, isn't it? I retorted. William turned to his mother, desperately asking,
Mom, can you lend me money again? It seems I have to pay her.
Both my mother-in-law and I were left speechless by William's outrageous remarks. But my mother-in-law gathered her resolve and stepped forward.
Enough is enough. I'm cutting ties with you. But before that, repay the debt I covered,
she declared boldly. Internally, I applauded her strength. And by the way, I've consulted a lawyer I know, so don't even think about evading this, I added. Abandoned even by his own mother, William came to me, pleading tearfully.
We can't get divorced. I apologize for everything. Please forgive me. Let's return my mother's money together.
That's out of the question. It's the consequence of your actions, I replied sternly, watching him collapse to his knees. In the following days, the divorce between William and me was finalized. I claimed $25,000 for the affair compensation and half of the money from the depleted savings. His affair partner also paid $10,000 in compensation. My mother-in-law demanded full repayment of the debt she had covered. I let him sell the house, which was under William's name and where I had been paying the mortgage, to start repaying my mother-in-law. Now, she can rebuild her life. I'm content living in an apartment, and William used the money from selling the house to make payments. However, he still has outstanding mortgage debt, and he's currently working away from home. As for me, I'm more dedicated to my work than ever. While I hope to find love again someday, for now, I'm enjoying my single life.
How did you like this story? If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time.